So, we need to talk about what's going on in Florida, because the state just signed the toughest immigration law in the country. This situation is pretty unfortunate, and soon you'll see exactly what's happening in the state. Alright, here's the deal. Governor Ron DeSantis just signed the strictest immigration law in the country. This law was passed after some intense negotiations between the governor and lawmakers. So, let's take a look at the new changes. The penalties are going to be really severe. Illegal immigrants convicted of a crime will face much harsher penalties. Basically, if you're an illegal immigrant, the punishment will be tougher. Plus, being in the country illegally will now be a criminal offense in Florida. Even though it's already a federal crime to enter the US illegally, now it's going to be a state crime. If you're caught the first time, it's a mandatory 9-month jail sentence, no exceptions. If you get caught again, it's 1 year and 1 day. And if you get caught a third time, it could be 2 years for being undocumented in Florida. On top of that, the state is eliminating bail for anyone caught illegally in the country, whether you're arrested for a crime or just for being in the country illegally. That's going to be a criminal offense in Florida too. And here's something huge. Anyone committing serious crimes like murder or child sexual abuse will now face the death penalty if they're undocumented. There will be no chance to reduce the sentence or go for life in prison. The death penalty will be the only option. A new criminal charge will also be introduced for anyone who enters or re-enters the country illegally. Florida is setting up a $250 million fund to support law enforcement and local police units. Anyone who votes illegally and anyone who helps them vote will face felony charges. Also, jails in Florida will now be required to report undocumented immigrants to immigration authorities. The state is going to force counties to share this information. To handle all of this, Florida is offering incentives to recruit more police officers, troopers, and other law enforcement agents. A special fund will be set up to help bring in more staff. On the flip side, the law will cut state funding for some students. Specifically, it'll end in-state tuition, which allowed students from Florida to pay lower tuition at public universities. Now, if you're not a US citizen or permanent resident, you won't be able to access those funds anymore. Finally, this law is also trying to strengthen the relationship between the federal government and the state. So, those are some of the key changes in the new law, signed by Ron DeSantis. We'll have to see if any lawsuits come up, because similar laws in Florida have been challenged by pro-immigrant groups.
So now that all about, it's up to you now to decide what you go do, what the next move will be. Because this bill is very serious. This bill is not play. So, as usual,